All right, welcome in everyone. Today, as you can see, we will be playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So, let's see, when we last left off, we had just been talking to Maria Gorey, and she said some things that set Iris on edge. So I think we're gonna have to be trying to find Iris today. And yeah, so it was actually a good thing that I took yesterday off. It was for my early Valentine's Day, because my husband will be out of town next week, so we were going to celebrate it a week early, because we've had the flu going through our house, and yesterday I felt the absolute worst of the entire sickness that I've had. I'm feeling better today, still a little under the weather, but I have some hot tea with honey, so hopefully that'll help. I'm a little worried about the voices, so if they're not the best today, please forgive me. So I'm gonna do my best, but I'm excited to play this. I've been looking forward to it, so I'm gonna take a sip of tea and then we will get an intro and get started. All right, here we go. Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today, we're playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and in today's episode, we need to find Iris and ask her what in the world disconcerted her so much at Maria Gorey's. Something was said that really upset her, or made her feel guilty, perhaps? I don't know, but without further ado, let's hop into the game. All right. Here we go. Okay. So, let's go find Iris first. So, we had talked to Gina last time. And got a little hidden Easter egg there. Let's see. She's got to be back at... Where would we find Iris, right? I think we would find her at Sholmes' suite, right? She's got to be at Sholmes' suite, right? Iris? 2nd of November? Sholmes' suite. Okay. Is Iris... What? What? Iris? What on earth is going on in here? Am I having a bad dream? No, it's an old German folk song. Rather a fine rendition, I think. That's the least of my concerns. Iris? She's averting her gaze. Iris, what's the matter? Oh, she's getting petulant. Who is that sprawling, that relaxed gentleman over there? It sort of looks like Gregson in a way, but not exactly. Iris, is she even listening? Excuse me, sir? I do apologize for troubling you whilst you're singing so merrily, but... Would you be kind enough to explain the situation? Well, that worked. For real, what is going on here? A crooning gentleman and a mute young girl, a rather tantalizing juxtaposition. And one that appears to have incited the gods of deduction within me to find their voices too. Ah, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean? She's still not saying anything? The strains of reasoning within me are playing now as a delightful duet. One melody sings of a reunion full of nostalgia, whilst the other is a morose theme about the great secret you're trying so desperately to conceal. Iris? She's turned as white as a sheet. Yeah, what's going on here? So, as usual, you've instantly seen to the very heart of the matter. Exactly. And by the time my own brief performance is over, I feel sure this gentleman's song will reach its finale. Who is it? So then to Musicland, where all is sweetness and delicacy and harmony. Pray do enjoy Herlock Sholmes' latest logic and reasoning spectacular. Oh boy. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. I'm curious what he's gonna come up with. Man's identity. Okay, so who is this? Firstly, we consider the gentleman's nationality. Clearly, he's a German with no grasp of the English language. As evidenced by the Germanic song he sings and his parents' inability to understand when asked to desist. Is he actually singing, though? So, why is the man here at all and in such apparently high spirits? The answer, of course, Iris, is clearly known to you. Indeed, we need only follow the gaze of those bright young eyes to unravel that particular part of this mystery. She's like, I've been betrayed? The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the herbal tea. You obviously offered our German guest a cup of your latest herbal blend. The tea's delectable flavor has made the man's spirits soar and resulted in this joyful ditty tumbling incessantly from his lips. I eagerly await sampling the flavor myself, that I may join the fellow in his state of elation. Now to the next question. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of the settee? Iris still says nothing? Who could it possibly be? As it happens, a number of years ago now, a certain gentleman of German origin engaged my services in solving a particularly delicate case. He required the retrieval of letters once sent to an acquaintance that might have proved problematic. In order to conceal his noble identity, he also arrived at my office in a mask. Oh boy. The gentleman's name was Wilhelm Gottschried Sigismund von Ormstein. What a mouthful! My goodness. The King of Germany. She's like, if my memory serves, the mask worn by this gentleman is identical. Yes, there can be no question. That mask belongs to the King of Germany. Wasn't that mask here already, though? I feel like it was. It would appear that His Majesty remembers the fine service I afforded him, and has decided to show his face again, mask and all, in order to express his gratitude. A well-mannered monarch indeed. Wouldn't you agree, my dear fellow? So, the identity of this masked visitor is, in fact, my former client, the King of Germany. Indeed, his son is currently in London as well, enjoying the wonders of the Great Exhibition. Is that so? I don't know about all this. Alright, is it why Iris is mute? Girl's silence, okay. Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. She says nothing. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that knapsack. A £5 note, I believe I must say, as your compatriot, I'm deeply saddened. It would appear that you've allowed yourself to be bribed into silence by His Royal Highness, earning yourself some spending money in exchange for keeping quiet about the king's secret. And now the final piece of the puzzle. What is this secret you strive to hide with your silence, Iris? Ah, yes, we need only follow that brief involuntary twitch of your eyes to find the answer. You are attempting to abscond with that coffee cup. My favorite coffee cup, in fact. Or should I say, the handle of my favorite coffee cup? It appears that His High-Spirited Highness broke it in the midst of his hijinks. Which lends us to the sad truth. Oh boy. My favorite coffee cup has been broken by the King of Germany, and Iris, you tried to conceal it from me. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what it was. I shall have a bill sent via governmental channels to the German royal family for its replacement. My goodness. My guy, seriously? To hide the coffee cup. Okay, yeah, I don't think so. Let's definitely debunk this one. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this painful puzzle. Oh boy. We're just like, I don't think so. Now, Sholmes has no more fill for it. With your silence as well, the fellow's jovial warbling rather rings in the airs, does it not? Oh boy. Mr. Sholmes, I must say something does rather trouble me. Pray, Mr. Salto, do tell. His Royal Highness doesn't appear to have moved a muscle since we arrived. Ah. And you haven't said a word either, Iris. If Mr. Sholmes has it all right, you might as well own up to it now. She's petulant again. Your reasoning isn't entirely without substance, I must admit. And one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. Yet another grievance, Mr. Narhodo? Surely not. Well, I actually read the story of that case recently, the one you were just describing. And according to that, at least, it wasn't the King of Germany, it was the King of Bohemia. He's like, whoops. Goodness, was it? Yes, that's quite true. Mr. Gotts, the prince, testified to that in court. In his words, I have come to see the great exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. Now he's very confused. I would ask you to keep that minor error to yourselves. It could easily become quite a scandal. I believe, Mr. Narhodo, that it's our turn now to make some corrections to a number of minor errors that may have slipped in. Yes, even Mr. Sholmes is willing to admit he might be slightly wide of the mark this time, although it's clear that Iris is definitely hiding something. We need to find out the truth behind this mysterious scene. But one truth is incontrovertible. My favorite coffee cup is no more. So, shall we embark again on a joint presentation of Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular? Oh boy, time for the course correction. I'm very curious what we're gonna learn here. Alright, so it's not the King of Germany. Who is this man? Firstly, we consider the gentleman's nationality. Clearly, he's a German with no grasp of the English language, as evidenced by the Germanic song he sings and his apparent inability to understand when asked to desist. So, why is the man here tall and in such apparently high spirits? The answer, of course, Iris, is clearly known to you. Indeed, we need only follow the gaze of those bright young eyes to unravel that particular part of this mystery. The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the herbal tea. But is it? So what, it's some mix of herbs that gives you the urge to sing? Goodness, I should like to try some. And I'd like to hear you singing, but this man, just how long does he intend to keep up with that tune, do you suppose? As I said, he's been stock still the entire time. And if you look closely, his lips aren't moving either. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, if he's singing, so I'm not sure what's actually responsible for the spirited singing. It's got to be a recording of some sort. But I suspect the answer lies at the end of Iris's gaze. So we've got to find it. Let's see. It's the gramophone, of course. Wait, this is a gramophone, still rarely seen in our own country. The sound certainly appears to be coming from the horn. But machines singing? That can't be right. Science and technology are changing the world rapidly, Mr. Naruto. What's right is changing too. Ugh, it's too much for my brain. Well, at least we found our answer. Alright, so let's present this.
Take that!
Is revealed by the gramophone. The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the gramophone. Indeed, for no well-bred gentleman would break into an obscure folk song when making a social call. In other words, this gentleman isn't singing at all. In fact, it would appear that the fellow is unconscious. Perhaps, so we can at least turn that off. Ah, the music seems to have stopped now. I ask you, Mr. Naruto? Yes? Why would I have purchased a recording of that gibberish? How should I know? Well, never mind. On with the deduction. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of the city? Let's see. As it happened a number of years ago now, a certain gentleman of German origin engaged my services in solving a particularly delicate case. He required the retrieval of letters once sent to an acquaintance that might have proved problematic. In order to conceal his noble identity, he also arrived at my office in a mask. The gentleman's name was Wilhelm Gottschalk Sigismund van Ormstein, the King of Germany. If my memory serves, the mask worn by this gentleman is identical. Yes, there can be no question. That mask belongs to the King of Germany. Although we've already established that it was actually the King of Bohemia, it seems Mr. Sholmes intends to persist with his Germany theory for some reason. Come to think of it, the young prince was wearing a mask as well, wasn't he? Master Gotts, the boy whom you had in tears? Don't remind me, or anyone else. Do you suppose all members of the aristocracy of mainland Europe wear masks? I'm sure they do. Well, probably anyway. The point is, the mask doesn't belong to any king. No, that's right, as we well know, because we can identify the true owner of this mask. It was Kazuma, right?
Take that!
That was his mask. Yes, there can be no question that mask belongs to Kazuma Ashogi. In other words, my memory is sublimely unreliable. Only you could try to make that sound positive. Oh man. Kazuma's mask has been languishing on this metal chest for several days, though that doesn't explain why the gentleman is wearing it now. But it is now a simple matter to determine our guest's true identity. After all, the gentleman is unconscious. We need only excuse ourselves in advance, gently lift the mask, and peer beneath it. Oh, it could be, oh, it's gonna be her father, right? I don't believe it. It's Susato's father. Why is he... Father? Why is he unconscious there? I'm afraid, Mr. Sato, you must be mistaken. No! No, I think not, Mr. Sholmes. Then it would appear our logic and reasoning has once again revealed the truth. The mysterious visitor is my unconscious father, Yujin Mikotoba. Oh, and now Iris is upset. Logic and reasoning, or just looking and saying? Exactly. But nevertheless, it definitely wasn't the King of Germany. Alright. Now, why is Iris silent? Oh boy. Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that knapsack. Is it, though? So that's a 5-pound note poking out from Iris's knapsack, is it?
Oh dear, I can't be sure. Most money that we encounter is in coin form.
I know. I'm not even sure if we've seen any banknotes here in Britain at all, have we?
But anyway, Father would never have paid money for Iris's silence.
He certainly seems like the silent type himself, though, judging by his present state. There must be some other reason for Iris's silence, I suppose.
Perhaps what Iris is trying so hard not to give away with her eyes is something entirely different.
Okay, so what would she be looking at? There's, what else is there? What even can we select here? There's the shoe, but how would that be in any way relevant? Is there anything else here? She glanced over... Oh, it's got to be the chest, right? She glanced at the chest.
This metal chest? It contains important documents, doesn't it?
Yes, details of all the cases Mr. Sholmes has worked on over the years. Written up by Iris's father, if I'm remembering correctly. Iris insists that the chest is kept locked at all times. She's never once shown me inside.
Well, its contents are invaluable to her, I suppose, and entirely irreplaceable. But look at it now. The catch is unlocked for once.
That's what I was noticing too. Ah, so it is. That's hard to ignore.
Very. I've never seen that chest unlocked before in all the time we've been staying here at Baker Street.
That's what I think it is then. Grab this one out. Oopsie daisy. Alright. So we present the chest.
Take that!
It's concealed inside the metal chest. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that metal chest. An excellent observation, for upon closer inspection, there is something different about the chest's appearance. Also, I just noticed the broken glass on the floor beside it. It's kept locked at all times, yet now the catch is open. Evidently, this has something to do with your refusal to speak, Iris. But it's simple enough matter to incite you to speak, I'm sure. I merely need to open this chest. What's in it? There we go.
No! Hurley, don't!
Okay. Well, that does explain things.
Mr. Sholmes, Hurley!
Well, mystery solved. He's dead.
Never.
Oh, Hurley, I told you not to open it. Ah, so you found your voice now, Iris. In other words, what just happened clearly reveals the truth here. Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is...
This is somewhat different to the usual dance of deduction you perform with Mr. Sholmes, isn't it?
Well, he's left me alone on the ballroom floor, so I'm gonna have to dance this next part solo. And anyway, I need to get to the bottom of this for my own peace of mind. Now then, Iris isn't usually the silent type, so...
You mean you don't actually know the answer yet, despite that knowing point of the finger before?
Miss Sasato, sometimes a man needs to point his finger first and think later. Okay.
Oh, Oh, well, if you say so. I think we'd better examine Iris more closely and try to rescue the situation then.
Alright, the real reason, why couldn't Iris open her mouth? Hold on, did she like super glue her mouth? What's in her knapsack? Like, I'm curious, there's that. Is there something on her mouth? Let's look in her can we look in her knapsack? Oh, she's got a key there. For some reason, this knapsack is really standing out as suspicious to me. I couldn't see the key because the box was over it.
Oh, is it?
It's quite sizable enough for a sizable secret, that's what I'd say.
Perhaps it is, but we certainly can't open it up to look inside without Iris's permission.
No, you're right. Who knows what might pop out and punch us. That's exactly right. But it's got to be this. That's the key she's holding, look. I'm sure that wasn't in her hands before, was it?
No, you're quite right. It's appeared as if by magic.
That's strange. A big old iron key. Where did it materialize from? Well, we're definitely presenting that. Let's see. Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is that key behind your back. When Mr. Sholmes was thrown into the air before, just before you called out to try to stop him, you slipped something out of your mouth. Oh, okay, that's right. That something is the key now in your hands. No doubt the key to that chest. Exactly. Okay, so she was hiding it in her mouth.
You're so clever, Runo.
So now it becomes clear. Thanks to Mr. Sholmes' graphic demonstration, we can well imagine what happened here.
But...
Question is why? Professor Mikitoba also opened that metal chest only to be punched into the air and land sprawled on the settee.
But wait, that doesn't explain all the facts. What about the stylish scarf and the cup of tea? And above all, why would he be wearing Kazuma-sama's mask?
Well, for those curious details, I can think of only one explanation. Clearly, an unbelievable miracle took place in this room. Isn't that right, Iris? Oh, yeah, it was on here. Consider how the room was arranged before this whole painful experience took place. Okay, so when he opened it, he landed over there. The mask somehow landed on him. The teacup landed on his hand. One broke, and that's insane. When Professor Mikitoba opened the chest completely unaware of what awaited him inside, the mask was flung into the air just as he was, only to land neatly on his face when it fell back down. And the teacup's journey through the air ended when it caught on the unconscious professor's finger.
You mean to say that the stylish scarf
is actually just a tablecloth? This is the great detective's office, after all. A place of miraculous deductions. That does seem kind of crazy, though, but maybe? I guess. Would you expect anything less? I mean, in this game, no, probably not. What does Iris have to say about it?
Yes, you're right. It happened exactly as you said. Brilliant, Bruno.
She seems a little too happy now. Thus concludes Ryunosuke Naruhodo's great deduction of this punchy puzzle. That's really suspicious, though.
So then, why don't I make us a fresh pot of tea for us all?
Objection!
Exactly. An admirable performance, Mr. Naruhodo. But in the final act of the show there, you rather missed everything of importance. And we're not done yet, Mr. Sholmes. If you would cast your mind back to my earlier deduction. Iris, clearly you're hiding a great secret. She is? From the look on her face. I mean, yeah, she accepted our answer just a little bit too eagerly. Mr. Sholmes must be right. Whatever that great secret is, the cat isn't out of the bag yet. So I put it to you again. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup.
It really is a shame about Mr. Sholmes' cup.
It must have been smashed when Professor Mikitoba opened the chest.
Oh dear, so many things seem to have been broken here.
But now that the deduction has taken a different direction, Iris doesn't seem to be trying to hide the broken cup anymore.
In other words, her great secret is something else.
Let's put on our observational skills to work here one final time then. Alright, what was she? Is there something? Ah, that's what this is about. The case file. Can we see what it's about? Ah, look, there seem to be more papers there. Is Iris trying to hide them underneath the tray?
The insignia, Mr. Naruto. It's an official Scotland Yard document.
What? But why would Iris have?
We must ask her.
An official Scotland Yard document. It's the one that was stolen.
Take that!
Exactly. You were attempting to abscond with that case file. Iris, as you know very well, nothing escapes the attention of a great detective.
Oh no!
So when she came here, we visited Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory earlier today, right? And Dr. Gorey informed us that the autopsy report of Clint Van Zeeks had gone missing. Clint Van Zeeks? Yes, I do seem to recall. That some years ago I asked to see the report in question. You were with me, weren't you, Iris? She was? So that's what she's had in this trunk the whole time? You mean it was you, Iris? So those papers you have there are... That's what we needed.
I'm sorry. Forgive me.
She's so sad. She's having like a 10-year-old meltdown. I think she's 10. To hide the case file. Why did she take it in the first place? I'm not sure. Alright, we've completed the deduction. We figured out. We kind of had a suspicion about it, but... In truth, I would like to have thought I could have predicted the booby-trapped chest. But it caught me completely off guard. I was very nearly the late consulting detective Sherlock Holmes. Indeed.
Ugh, I'm sorry, Hurley.
So you mean this autopsy report really is?
Yes, I took it from the lab, even though I knew it was very important.
Why?
Was there something in it that troubled you, Iris?
That's what I'm wondering.
Not exactly something that troubled me. It's something I've been looking for. When I saw this report, when I saw the writing in it, I knew it was Daddy's.
The writing? Did she take it so she could copy his handwriting?
Your father's writing? What do you really mean?
Iris? It must be something that's hard for her to talk about. Forgive me for interrupting, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes, what is it? I feel as though the poor unconscious gentleman on the settee has been somewhat forgotten.
Ah, the father!
Exactly. Perhaps we should find our guest somewhere more peaceful to rest. Mr. Naruto? Yes? Would you be so kind as to lend him your bed? We must do our very best to make him comfortable, I feel. Oh, yes, of course. I'll help you carry him up.
So will I.
Oh, boy. No, I can manage alone, thank you. You have tea to enjoy. We wouldn't want Iris's brew to stew. Oh, boy. Because there's no better way to make the professor comfortable than dragging him upstairs like a trunk. Exactly. I wonder, perhaps that was deliberate. Maybe Mr. Sholmes is making himself scarce to give Iris the chance to talk more freely. That could be.
We must use this opportunity to talk with Iris and find out what's going on.
Alright, so spill it. Tell me about your daddy. Would you like to tell us about it, Iris? About your father?
I'm sure I told you before, didn't I? That Daddy used to be Hurley's... I'm sure I told you about it before, didn't I? That Daddy used to be Hurley's partner? Yes, and the notes about all the cases they solved together are kept inside that metal chest. That's right. Hurley told me, you see. He said that Daddy's somewhere far away now, so we can't meet.
That's one way of describing it.
And then when I secretly unlocked the chest and read through the papers inside, I started to build up a picture in my head of what Daddy must be like.
Well, that's only natural.
You're just like any other girl your age. I read that Daddy was a professor of medical science, so I studied and took my degree too.
Well, that's only natural, I suppose.
In that respect, you're not quite like any other girl of your age, though.
Definitely not.
But there was one thing I could never find out. Daddy's name.
Ah.
His name wasn't anywhere on the notes that he'd made about his work with Hurley. But then one day...
That's what happened, is it? When you saw this autopsy report, you finally managed to work it out. Is that right?
Yes.
So it was the handwriting in the report that caught her eye. Oh, okay. So can we see the report?
When I saw the writing on that report, I could hardly believe it. I know that handwriting, I thought to myself.
Because it was the same as the writing you'd seen on your father's case notes.
Exactly. I was desperate to compare the two properly. I needed to see them side by side. I asked the doctor in the laboratory, but I was told I couldn't take the report away. And even worse, I was told that that was the first and last time we'd be allowed to even look at it there.
So you decided to steal it. I mean...
When I compared the autopsy report with the case notes I had here, there was no doubt. The handwriting was exactly the same. It was Daddy's. And the signature of the coroner at the bottom of the autopsy report
read Dr. John H. Wilson.
So that's how I finally found out. I learned Daddy's name at last.
Man, I see. Now we know it's got to have been him, right, that got killed?
Ever since then, I've called myself Iris Wilson. And that's also when I had the brilliant idea of writing stories all about Daddy's exciting times with Hurley. I decided there and then that I'd write the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, Iris, I had no idea the stories had quite such a deep personal significance for you.
I can see why the autopsy report was so important to her now. And why she was prepared to break the law to get her hands on it. I mean, yeah, they tied her hands in every other way. It makes sense. I must apologize, Iris. Who's speaking? Ah, Sholmes. This is really all my fault.
early?
I made a promise, you see, that until the time was right, I'd keep the details about your father a secret.
I know. I've been very naughty. I'll take the autopsy report right back to Dr. Gorey and apologize. I promise.
Yes, we'll go together, I think.
Then let me look after it for you until we get there.
All right. Now we can actually look at the autopsy record.
I must go and water my herbs, I think.
She's like had a great burden lifted off of her.
I'll see you all later.
Now that she's confessed, she doesn't feel guilty anymore. Poor Iris. She must be feeling awful. I know Mr. Sholmes is here for her, but still.
Uh-huh.
What's wrong? Oh, she's looking at that.
How? What's the meaning of this, Mr. Sholmes?
Mr. Sholmes? Oh, dear me. So, you've noticed, I see.
But that would mean...
What on earth's the matter, Mrs. Otto? You've turned as white as a sheet. It's in the autopsy report.
It's this autopsy report, Mr. Naruto, the one from 10 years ago.
All right, what is it?
The writing isn't Dr. Wilson's at all.
Huh? What do you mean? How could you possibly know that?
Because I know this writing very well.
Wait a second.
This writing, it's my father's.
What? Professor Mikitoba's? Wait, what? Indeed, it's true. And now you know, my dear fellows. No, I don't know anything. What on earth does all of this mean, Mr. Sholmes? Because the idea that's slowly forming in my mind are they're sisters? It's just too extraordinary to believe? Please, you have to explain. We have to know. The autopsy report writing. So this autopsy report was actually penned by Professor Mikitoba then? But that makes no sense. It's not possible, surely. Not possible, my dear fellow. Pray take a deep breath and think again.
Yes, you're right. In some ways, it actually makes a great deal of sense.
So if Dr. Wilson were doing the autopsy, then perhaps Professor Mikitoba was taking the notes for him? It does?
10 years ago is when Father returned to Japan after his extended study tour in Britain.
And prior to his return, where was Dr. Mikitoba engaged? Of course. He was an assistant in Dr. Wilson's laboratory learning about forensic science. And as an assistant, he would have aided with the dissection work, making detailed notes, which would be assembled into the full autopsy report. Okay, so that I was right then. Once the work was complete, the head coroner would check the contents and put his signature on the document.
In other words, the only writing of Dr. Wilson's in the report would be his signature at the end.
I see. So Iris got the wrong end of the stick, you mean? She saw that and assumed the whole report had been written by Dr. John H. Wilson.
Which is very understandable, of course.
What a complicated situation. Okay, because if that's true, that would mean that Professor Mikitoba is her father? Maybe? So, is that true? Was that your partner? Was Professor Mikitoba? Thinking about it, most of what we know about you, Mr. Sholmes, comes from the published stories of your exploits.
Yes, the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, written by Iris.
Okay. And we really have no way of knowing what's fact and what's fiction. Most troubling for you, my dear fellow, I'm sure. So, what about this supposed partner of yours? Did he really exist or not? Ah, you've come straight to the point, I see.
And please come straight to the answer.
I believe Iris explained it in one of her installments. He was a trusted comrade, and the only person I could truly have called a friend. Was it yourself? I mean, what does this mean?
And did this partner of yours truly make a record of all your cases? Are his notes really stored inside that metal chest?
Absolutely, my dear madam, absolutely. So, where's your partner now? Is he knocked out upstairs? We rarely meet. You see, he lives on the other side of the world. Yeah, I kind of saw this coming. But if this autopsy report and the records of all your old cases were penned by the same hand, come on guys, you can connect the dots here. And if the autopsy was written, though not signed by your famous partner, there would be only one logical conclusion. Pray impress me. Your partner would have to be Eugen Mikotoba. In other words, Miss Susato's father. Is that so? On my word, Mr. Naruto. Yes? You are coming along wonderfully. You have hit upon the method at last. You finally grasped the art of deduction. You mean to say... Allow me to introduce you to my great friend and partner, Mikotoba. Professor Mikotoba? Oh man. Oh boy.
Does this mean that you're the real Dr. Wilson?
No, my dear. I'm still my old self, Eugen Mikotoba, your father.
Of course.
This is obviously too much for Susato-san to take in. Oh man. I must say though, how my old friend has attained worldwide celebrity as a great mystery solver is the greatest mystery of all. I still remember the first time we met. Pray remind me, when was it again, Mikotoba? 16 years ago, Sholmes. Yes, quite. 16 years ago. I'd just arrived from Japan with Shishiro and Genshin. I was in search of lodgings close to the hospital, some comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. But rents are devilishly high in that particular area. That's right. So I decided I needed someone to share lodgings and the expense, and was fortunate enough to be introduced to Sholmes, who found himself in a similar situation. I was a callow fellow back then, a mere shadow of the great detective you see before you now. I was working at the hospital's chemical laboratory at the time, indulging my curiosities for little gain. And the situation of our cohabitation led us to pursuing cases together, you see. Hard to believe it was a mere 6 years. We had a great many adventures. But in the last year of Mikotoba's stay in Britain, that most infamous of cases presented itself. The case with which you've become rather familiar yourselves, the Professor killings. After the trial, Seshiro and I were summoned back home. Hardly surprising given the circumstances. So there you have it. And as you know, all the detailed records by my trusty chronicler remain in that metal chest. This is just amazing. Professor Mikotoba really is Mr. Sholmes' famous partner? You'll still haven't said that means they're related yet. Because that's the other dot to connect here, that Susato and Iris are sisters.
Father?
Goodness, my dear, what a cutting look.
As your daughter, I'm very proud to learn that you were the great detective's great partner. But nevertheless, there's another mystery that I really must ask you to explain now.
You know it's coming.
And that is... You know very well what it is. The unresolved matter of Iris's father.
Of course. I'd almost forgotten about that one. How could you? It was literally the elephant. Well, okay. It was figuratively the elephant in the room. I mean, I was talking about it.
I should have seen this coming, I suppose.
Alright, time to fess up.
Iris told us that all the notes about the great detective's adventures that are in that metal chest were written by her father. Isn't that correct, Mr. Sholmes?
That is indeed what I told young Iris.
But if you're Mr. Sholmes' partner, father, and you wrote all those case notes, then Iris's father must be you.
Or Sholmes lied. On my word, Miss Susato. You are coming along wonderfully as well. You two have hit upon the method at last. Oh boy. You finally grasped the art of deduction.
What? What you've always told me, father, is that my mother died when I was born 16 years ago, and you left me in grandmother's care whilst you embarked on your study tour of Britain. And I've always accepted that. But all this about Iris...
Oh, there it is, Susato-san's ice-cold stare.
No, now, hold on a minute. It was very complicated. I mean, it's really not what you think. Then perhaps you'd like to explain exactly what it is?
She's gonna flip him. There it is. Now the eyes go from ice cold to red hot just before she...
No, really. You've got the wrong end of the stick. Sholmes, say something, man.
She's gonna flip him. That's quite enough, my fiery fellows. Mr. Sholmes, when did he get all dressed up? Whilst I don't like to interrupt this exciting exploration of the past, Mictoba and I have an urgent matter that requires a short excursion.
But it's very late, Mr. Sholmes. Where must you go?
Why, my dear madam, is that not obvious? My partner and I must pursue our natural enemies. So get your coat, Mictoba. The game is afoot.
But Sholmes, I really must give Susato a full explanation, I think.
Later, my dear fellow, later. Our carriage awaits downstairs already. Oh boy.
You haven't changed one iota, have you? I mean, really, I visit our home after 10 long years. And when I open that chest in a fit of nostalgia, I quite inexplicably pass out. And as if that wasn't enough, when I eventually regain consciousness, I'm plunged straight into all this. Father, please. Go with Mr. Sholmes now. What? I've no doubt that whatever happened, you were acting in everyone's best interest. I trust you completely. Susato. And sending the great detective and his great partner off on renowned adventures together is more than I could have hoped for in my wildest dreams.
Oh boy.
Very well then, we'll speak again later.
Hopefully there is a later. Why do I feel like there might not be a later? So I believe your own work is done for the day. I wish you the best of luck for tomorrow.
Yes, Naruhodo. Good luck in the battle and in reaching a decision.
A decision? About whether to go back to Japan, I suppose? We still have to figure out about
So
that.
much happened that day that I barely knew what to do with myself. It would only be later that I'd come to realize how amidst the chaos I'd unleashed were all the clues I needed to finally unearth the truth.
What is the
all
truth?
The turmoil was necessary to give me the resolve to see everything through.
Okay. Well, oh boy. This should be a to be continued. Oh, we don't even resolve the trial? Really? We didn't even resolve the trial. This trial is so big. It's a 2-part trial. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Yes, we're going to say that is insane. All right, which one? Let's see. It's this one. Was not expecting that, guys. That one definitely came out of nowhere. Man, the final chapter. That's crazy. So, oh man. All right. Let's return to the title screen. All right, and with that, we actually reached the conclusion of episode 4 of this 5-episode game, which is crazy because usually in each episode you resolve the trial. We clearly have not resolved the trial, so I presume that we are carrying on into the final episode of this entire game. What are we going to find there? We have learned so many shocking truths, I would say, and there's still so much to uncover, and it all, as per usual, ties back to this professor case 10 years ago. What is the truth of all this, and what are we going to learn in the final showdown of the final episode of this game? I don't know, but we'll find out more in the next episode. So if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/Lear27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games we're playing each day, I post them on x.com/Lear27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye. All right, we did it. That was a lot of fun. I cannot believe that just ended like that. That was surprising. And my voice pretty much held out, so I'm pretty happy. We will be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time. We will be playing some more Nancy Drew. And we've got, let's see, so on Nancy Drew, what we need to do is we need to follow up on, I think we want to go visit the psychic's house again, because there's a secret passage that leads from his house all the way to the Lilac Inn, and I think he might be responsible for all the mysterious sounds we're hearing, because he's the only one that benefited from what is it, Jeremiah Crowley, I think is his name, his will, but he's still looking for something related to these clocks, I assume. Maybe he thinks it's more money or something, I don't know. I bet it's an updated will, but we'll have to figure that out. And then after that, we are going to be playing some Miss 3 again. So we are still in, I forgot the name of the age, but it's the plant age. We had just unlocked a new area, so we're going to continue exploring that. I don't know what we'll find out there. It's just we got to a new area, and now it's time to explore some more. So, and now let us see. And of course, that will be tomorrow starting at 3 p.m. so Central Time. So let me see who is on that we can raid. There's lots of people on. I'm just trying to see if there's anyone that we haven't visited in a while. Let us look and see. All right, let's go. Let's see. trying to listen. Okay, let's visit Muna's Samurai. He's also playing Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It looks like they're on chapter 2. No, he should be on case 3. He's on the omnibus mystery. So we'll go raid him and see what all is happening there. And then I will see you guys tomorrow, 3 p.m. Thank you, everybody, so much for hanging out today. It was a lot of fun. I'm surprised. I don't know if you guys were, but I was shocked that we finished the case today. Definitely wasn't expecting that. But anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central. Until then, guys, bye.